You're all in trouble now because Artie's in witness protection program.
Love
Okay,
the
so this,
ponytail.
huh?
Love the ponytail.
Thank you, thank you. My ponytail is like a selling point. Everyone like knows me as the old druid-looking guy. Okay, anyway, so this class is supposed to be about the purpose of getting a tarot reading or a psychic reading. If you have any questions at all, just like jump in because we're here to have some fun and do some stuff. And oh, Jessica Oppie is on the line.
I'm happy to be here. Tell me what you need. Just kidding.
I like that. And Amy from Pennsylvania is on the line. Okay, so anyway, you've all had readings from me, I think. Linda, have I read for you? Okay. So you pretty much know how I operate, where I'm one of those people, or when I'm reading, I try to my best to actually not let people give me stuff. In other words, I will have people that'll sit down in front of me for a reading and they start telling me everything about all the stuff that's going on that they want to know about. And I'm like, stop talking, stop talking, stop talking, shut up. Because if they tell me everything, how am I supposed to get any verification as to what I'm actually seeing in the cards? So if you're going to a psychic, it's sort of like being arrested by the police, don't say anything. Hi is good. And then, your questions, whatever they are, but you don't want to fill someone with your life story and all the little ins and outs of everything that's going on, because it makes it sort of hard for them to verify anything that they're reading because you already told them everything. So that's one of the first things I would stop trying to do or be aware of. And also, if you sit down with a psychic and they start asking you questions about, where you're from, family, how many kids do you have? It's like, no, because they're supposed to be able to verify that from within the reading or with the cards that are coming up or whatever. I mean, even if I'm wrong, it's like I say, oh, it looks like you have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. If they say yes, great. But if they're not responding, then if I'm wrong, it's like, okay, these are 2 young people who have adopted you. Do you have a niece and nephew? And we figure it out. But if someone is asking you for all of your personal information before they started reading, yeah, to me, that's a little bit of a danger sign. Hello, Cheryl B. And Cheryl B disappeared. There she is. So it's like, these are the things that, sometimes drive me nuts as a psychic, because people will give a whole life story and it stops me from doing my job, or they'll come in and not be able to ask questions, or people make an appointment for a month out and I'll get them on the Zoom call and say, okay, what are we exploring today? And they'll sit there and say, I don't know. I mean, you've had a month to think about this. Yes, you can do general overviews, which a lot of people get, but if you're doing a general overview, that's fine. Lots of stuff can come up with that, but I'd rather have someone ask me a direct question. This way we have something to deal with. So it's always nicer to go into a reading situation with 2 or 3 topics that you want to cover. Hold on, I have to let someone in who's on an iPhone. Hello, iPhone 48. Oh, we'll figure out who it is later.
Might
Okay,
be Patty.
Oh, that could be. Wait, they're muted. I don't know. There's all this work to doing a group Zoom thing. Boy, let me tell you. Hello, iPhone 48. Who are you?
Suzanne.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, how are you?
Suzanne Gaskin?
Gaskell, you're close.
Oh, it's close. Okay. Welcome.
How are you?
All right. So like we were saying, if you have any questions about the topics that we're talking about, because this is generally just an overview of what to do or what the purpose is of a psychic reading, stuff like that. So any questions, any insights you have, feel free to jump in.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. What is that noise?
I don't know.
Wow, that was different. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. I'll be able to talk in a second. Shut up, Jessica. Jessica got a thing that said, oh, your class starts at 6:30. I'm like, no, the waiting room opens at 6:30. And then she was like, busting my chops, like, well, you're going to be late at 6:30. I'm like, oh, God. All right. So when you come in for a question, if you're doing questions with a psychic, when you come in, you cannot ask multi-phasic questions. In other words, you can't sit there and say, I'm moving to Chicago. I want to know how that's going to go. My dog is in the hospital. My mother's not feeling well, and my sister might be getting a divorce. Can we cover all that? It's like, not in one question. We can't. Because, asking a question, hi, Doug, asking a question like that leaves it wide open. And how are you supposed to answer anything? Because that's equivalent to hitting a wall with a paintball and the energy just goes all over the place. So if you're asking a question of a reader, it should be very specific, or a question saying, I am moving to Chicago. What is the outcome of that? Or describe the situation of moving to Chicago. You can't do multiple things in one question. Well, I mean, you can try, but it just doesn't bode very well. Now, for the psychic side of it, people look right at me and say, well, I've had one or two people do this and they were serious. Well, you're just trying to get me for some more time. I'm like, well, no, I'm trying to do this the right way, because if I don't, then I'm going to be looking stupid and the answers aren't going to be right. And I understand people's dilemma with that. But just so you guys know, it's not a matter of getting someone for more time, it's a matter of being able to do it. I'm sorry, who said something? No. Hi, Doug. I know we said that already. So it's very important to form your questions the right way. The more precise the question, the better your answer is going to be, because it's like a computer. The better the information going in is, the better the information coming out. Does anyone have any questions so far? Wow, cricket. Okay. Wow, cricket. It's okay. Oh, Chrissy's got a dog on her lap. Excuse us. Okay, so questions are good. Yes and no questions in regards to tarot cards. Tarot does not do very well with yes and no questions. A lot of people sit there and say, well, if a card comes up upside up, it's yes, upside down, it's no. Considering that I don't even use reverse cards, I can't even get around that. But tarot cards, because of the way they work, specifically avoid yes and no questions. Tarot cards, or basically tarot cards, they describe the energy around the situation. They describe a pathway. They describe potential of choices, but they can't give you yes or no. And a lot of people always try to con me into saying, well, everything in the reading came up absolutely true about this relationship. Should I leave this person or not? And I'm like, you're not getting me to do that, because I can't tell you what to do. We can describe the situation. We can see what the energy is around it. But if you're going to try to get me to tell you what to do and you want me to take on the karma for that, no. Because that becomes, oh, she's yawning. That becomes a whole thing of not taking on someone's karma and not being responsible for that. So any tarot reader that tells you what you should do or how you should do it, or this is coming up and I would be careful of that, that starts being very questionable. Hello, Bob's iPhone.
I am new to Florida. I'm new to everything. I will shut up and listen now.
Wow, that was quick. You're new to everything? No, you're not new. You have a beard and a bald head. You are not new. I'm sorry.
But I will listen carefully now.
Oh, okay. So when it comes to questions and doing stuff like that, if you have a tarot reader or anybody that is telling you what to do, that's a problem, because there's this whole thing called free choice or free will. As soon as someone negates your free will or tells you specifically, if you don't do this, then this will happen, to me, that's writing on the lines of being dangerous or even black magic. And the reason is that as soon as you take away someone's free will or lock them in, you're taking away their choices, and you can't do that. No matter how something looks on the card table or what comes up, I'm like, according to the cards, this is the energy. Here are the potential outcomes. What you do with this is your choice. So always be careful with people trying to stuff you down into something, because the whole study of magic is all about developing free will, finding yourself, and reclaiming personal power. I mean, my job as a reader, or at least the way I look at it, is to help people get out of their own way. I mean, and I've read for all of you, so you pretty much know That's how it goes. It's not like I'm telling you to do something. It's like, let's see what this energy is, because the cards are absolutely great at doing that. Okay, so since you're all here, do you know how tarot cards work? Okay, sort of, kind of. Okay, so look at it this way. Have you heard of art therapy? Art therapy is the practice where a psychologist or a psychiatrist, because I'm crazy and I know it, will ask you to paint a picture of your happy house. And you'll draw the house and the windows and stuff in the yard and the sun. Then the psychiatrist will look at it and they'll look to see, are the windows black? Can they see through the windows? What color is the sun in the sky? Do the trees have leaves? Or all this symbolism that's literally being painted. Art therapy is a way of getting into your subconscious through expression and artistic rendering, let's say. Tarot cards work in exactly the same way, sort of. The tarot cards, all the symbols in a tarot deck are what are known as archetypal symbols. They exist. They are embedded into everybody's consciousness. So even if you don't know what the symbol means, on some level, you do. And even through meditation, if you don't know what the symbol means, you can get at it or discover the meaning. So when we are doing a tarot reading, even though I'm shuffling the deck, because I normally do that, and a lot of other readers let the client shuffle the deck, but even if I'm shuffling the deck, technically, the person, the client, is actually arranging where the cards are going. Their higher self or subconscious steps right in, and they are painting a picture with the tarot cards. So when we find out where their significator card is, that's the pile that I use for the reading. That's the painting that you just painted. Then my job is to just help you interpret it. So it's just like art therapy, only we're sort of like a little bit in reverse because you're just arranging where the cards are. Let's see. What else do you want to know about tarot cards? The original use of tarot was. Go ahead.
Alexander, I have a question. How did you determine that I was like Queen of Cups?
That's great. Okay, significator cards are the cards that represent people in the deck. To me, those are always the court cards. So if you're a Scorpio, that would be related to the element of water, so that would be a cup. A mature woman would be queen. So if you're a Scorpio mature woman, you'd be a queen of cups. Therefore, I'm identifying you, and I even tell people before the reading, said, your significator card is this. If I'm really lucky, I get to show it to them really fast. If not, they just know. And that means they are moving all the cards that are pertinent to their question to where their significator card is. When I find the pile that has their significator card in it, that's the pile that I use for the reading because that's where all the cards move to. If someone is a male and they're in Aries, Aries is a fire sign, so it's wands, male, a knight or a king, so a knight of wands. If someone is a young person, 10, 12, 8 years old, 8 years old, I don't really read for, but if they're a kid, if they're living at home, they don't have a job, no, they're not married, things like that, then they're either a prince or a princess because it's the young, immature aspect. They're not out in the world yet. So significators cards to me are really important because that's how I have always identified, here's the person, therefore all the cards that are relevant to that person are drawn to where that card is. Lots of people don't do it that way, which is fine. You always have to go by the results that the reader gets. Sultania doesn't use significator cards at all, and yet her readings are spot on because she does it through what's called a story method, and that works for her. Me trying to do her method, and I've tried, I'm terrible at it. It just doesn't, for me, it doesn't work. So it always comes down to, is your reader working for you? Are they giving you information? Are they hitting practical stuff that you can verify or that they're verifying? It's a hard thing to do right, but sometimes people can't connect. Don't be afraid to get up from a reader and say, I'm sorry, we're just not connecting, so I'll see you later. I mean, I had this one little old lady that I read for once, and I dealt out the cards. I got the description of her little dog and even the little dog's name, and that was the only thing I got right for the whole reading. Everything else was a total, absolute shambles. And I was just like, look, I'm really sorry. I'm not connecting. And she was feeling bad, saying, oh, it's okay. I'll pay you anyway. I'm like, no, this isn't a problem. It's just that apparently I'm not supposed to be the one reading for you. And I hooked her up with another psychic at the fair that day, and she did absolutely great with her. So sometimes it's not a question of the person's ability. Sometimes you just can't connect, and it happens. If you ask a reader if they've never been, if they've been stumped by a person, they tell you no. Either they're lying or they've only been reading for a week.
Sounds like love.
What was that? I'm lying.
Sounds like love.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, really. So reading is this whole thing, and people get very involved. But the significator cards are a way of tying that person into the deck.
Dinner's ready.
Dinner's ready. You have to go now, Doug.
Dinner's ready. Hi, Laurel.
Hi.
That's
There's the superstar. Have a good dinner, sir.
We shall try. We shall try. Get out of here.
Okay,
Cat.
so cards and the way they move about and the way you're connected to them, to me, those are all very important things because that makes up the whole tarot deck. And if you're interested in tarot decks in general, reading or doing divination is actually the lowest use of a tarot deck. That's actually not what they were meant for. They were meant as a way, or they are meant as a repository of initiatory information. In other words, bringing people through their hero's journey, through psychological resolution, and being able to handle everything that's going on. Oh, there we go. So the initiatory system, all the symbols in the tarot deck, especially the major arcana are all about, the big stuff, the spiritual growth, the resolution, what has to be faced, where you have to move, life journey. There's a book called Young and the Tarot by a woman named Sally Nichols, which is really, really good to read if you're getting into tarot at all. It gives you the concept of what's going on and how the symbols work or can affect you. That's really the main thing. And they've addressed this depending on who's writing the book. As far as tarot has been the source of, initiation, but then some books will say tarot is only 200 years old, 300 tops. So it gets very, very strange as far as who's reading, who's the authority, and how far back they're putting it. I remember tarot back in Egypt and Sumeria, and those memories go back like 15, 20,000 years. So it's been around for a while. Any questions so far? Oh my God, I'm doing that good where you're all just mesmerized.
You know what?
What?
A funny thing. Sometimes tarot readings are not what you expect.
That's true.
And one of the funnier ones that I've had, which wasn't from you,
Okay.
was somebody told me that I was addicted to office supplies, which is actually freaking hysterical, but it's sort of true. But these are the things that happen, and if you're not focused and you do get a general reading, that can happen. Like they fixate on your love of office supplies. It's just so you know, I have a lot of office supplies, and she was right.
I was gonna say, it's like, and how are you addicted? Were you like, shooting them up IV wise, or just
Absolutely. Like pens, pad, paper, pads. That's great.
I
Great
can
stuff.
understand. Just keep on buying office supplies. Yes, I've been guilty of that myself.
Oh no, I borrow them from where I work. So there you go.
Oh, she borrows them from. Okay,
That's correct. Keep that in mind. And the other funny thing about tarot is like you're saying, if you don't have like a big thing in mind, or something in mind, it does And I frankly am a little afraid of getting a reading by you because you're so dead on. Just so you know. So that's why I haven't asked you for one in a while, because I know, I already know.
And that gets back to the whole point. It's like when we're dealing with tarot, or if you're coming for a reading, that's the purpose. It's like a lot of times people just sit there and say, oh my God, that just verified everything I was thinking. So that's awesome because it was verification of what was going on. It described the energy and it populated. Now you have to sit down and make a choice. Those are great. If you're reading and there was no verification or some brand new stuff popped up and it's like, wow, that's really interesting. because people learn to make choices. I had this one guy that came and he was going to his master's degree program, and he had a choice between two schools. One was in Minnesota. God knows why you'd want to go to Minnesota. And one was in Pennsylvania. And so we had to break it down, do two different spreads for the two different schools. The outcome for both schools turned out, yes, you get your degree, everything's fine, you move on and get your life. The interim to get to the degree was totally different. In Minnesota, it was like boring, lots of pentacles, not a lot of movement, blah, blah, blah. The reading for Philadelphia, even though it had the same outcome, was like absolute mayhem, potential of being arrested, total chaos, swords, wands. It was all over the place. He's like, what should I do? I'm like, are you into adventure or are you into boredom and safety? And he's like, thought about it. He goes, I'm going to Philadelphia. A year later, he comes back and goes, oh my God, we actually did almost get arrested because there was a bar fight. So he had a blast. It's a matter of making choices. Here's the energy. What do you want to deal with? Or here's the energy. How do you want to play with these choices that are going on? So it's not always a matter of here's the outcome and that's all. It's a description of life and what's happening. And for a lot of people, that's simply verification of what they were already thinking, or just makes them happier that they were on the right lines. And that's what a good tarot or psychic reader does. I mean, if we happen to do something different, like if there's someone around from on the other side that I can get a hold of, great, but that's not tarot or other stuff. That's just, now we're getting into other things. We're going to stay on topic because otherwise I'll regret and be stupid looking. So any questions so far? Oh my God, Cheryl, of all the times you're being quiet. Yeah, okay. See that. So Tanya came up.
Taking it all in. I'm taking it all in. I'm taking notes.
Taking it all in.
Oh yeah.
So Tanya just asked, because if you're in a room full of psychics, how do you know who to pick? And it's literally totally by feel. You keep on walking around the room until you have someone whose energy just slaps you upside the head, and then you find out why that energy slapped them upside the head. You can go by price, and that's actually valid, because sometimes some of these psychics, I mean, they are charging prices to people that hurt my heart. I mean, I'm doing $50 a half an hour, and I think that's more than adequate. I know some people that are charging $50 for 15 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, how do you get away with that and sleep? So, but finding someone that has the energy that really interests you, that's one thing, because you can feel when someone's energy is slapping you upside the head. Number two, it's like not necessarily the price, but I won't charge someone until after their reading. And when they sit down, people try to hand me money. I'm like, no, keep your money. But I have to pay you. It's like, what happens if I can't read you? And then you ask me for money back. I'd rather just not have it, because it happens. It's not an ego thing if it happens, but I don't want to take someone's money and then have them feel bad about if I can't connect. So look for people who are ethical in what they're doing, because no matter what, if I'm sitting there reading all day long and I have clients going on, if I blow a reading, it didn't cost me anything. It's no skin off of my back. And these psychics who get upset over it, I'm sorry, that's a problem. To me, anyway. It's human. It's the spiritual pathway. If they're not following the words that they're talking about, then why are you doing this?
I would,
Okay.
if I could add to that, Alexander, I think for me, what's most important is, and I shared this with you the first time we met, is me getting a stronger, developing my intuition in a sharper way, right? Just like you
Right.
said, if you're connecting, there should be confirmation throughout the
Yes.
reading, right? Because you should be familiar with your own energy and and have a good sense of where you are. So I think for me, in terms of even working with tarot, is not becoming reliant on it,
Right.
but more so, okay, I just I want to go ahead and go to the tarot because I want to confirm something that I'm, already feeling. And
Right.
it always comes out, and I've had that happen several times. But for me, it's more, it's a tool, but I'm more interested in readers and people who have these types of abilities and giftedness, and we all do to extents and levels that we develop it, is it's more for me about the ascension process and awakening, and for me dialing really, really into the higher self. So I'm not looking for anyone to give me an answer or to
Right.
tell me, and it shouldn't do that for you, right? Because that,
Absolutely not. It's like you said,
like you said, it could change at any time because it's based on energy. So it's actually a guidance.
right,
And I
you're
also,
providing
right,
information.
right. And I also had a question because I know that, love and money are probably the biggest reasons why people might consult a reader or go to tarot. I did hear from a few readers that I respect, and not only respect, they're spot on intuitively, that in matters of love, um, would you say there's like a spiritual line that you shouldn't cross in terms of getting a reading on someone without their spiritual permission or access?
Yeah, I won't read if someone says, I want a reading about my friend Tom.
Right,
Okay, and I'll stop there and say, well, I can't do that because that's like, basically, like you said, it's eavesdropping. If
right,
they're in a relationship with someone, say, I would like a reading about the relationship I'm in with Tom. To me, that's a different story, but I see your point. I won't do an external reading called on, but for internal or for relationship, yes. Will I tell them what to do or what not to do in the reading? Absolutely not. I will describe what the cards are saying and how the relationship appears to be going from the tarot perspective, but it always comes down to their decision as to what they want to do with it. I mean,
right,
there are relationships that work absolutely great, and there isn't one cup card there or only one. Those people may have a karmic connection, they may be friends, it may be a functional relationship on lots of levels, but it may not be the hit you upside the head with the stick, it's the stupid stick in love type thing. Then you
right,
have the other ones where there's tons of cups, but you have all these pentacles that describe they're in love and they're crazy, but they're terrible at anything on the physical plane.
right. Got
So it comes down to here's the energy around it, but you can't tell them what to do because now again you're infringing on free will and freedom of choice.
Right,
Even though people try to get you to do that all the time.
right, right. Because they're relying on the tarot to tell them the guidance when intuitively, I think most people know in a lot of situations.
I know people that will pull out a tarot deck every day and do a spread for what's coming up in that day. I'm like, really? I mean, can't you just get by without like trying to find out what it is?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because and then it gets really easy to misinterpret something because one card can have multiple meanings under different circumstances or who's reading it. And then number two, it's really extremely hard to do a reading for yourself
Right.
because you have to be extremely detached, very neutral. And well, there's the death card and it's right next to me. And people sit there, they don't want to like get into that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the death card is just the easy excuse to have someone pay before the reading is over. It's like, oh, there's the death card. Did you already pay for the reading? I'm sorry. And it freaks them right out. It's great for the first timers. So it's like all these cards and everything works together well. And yes, you do have to have your set of guidelines for yourself as far as what you're going to either do or not do. And it's very hard when people ask for readings for family members who are adults, and it's like, yeah, that's sort of like eavesdropping. And I've had people get mad at me for that and say, well, this other reader will do it, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad, but I'm not the other reader. So it's sometimes you get people a little bit pissy that way. Oh, we have dogs all over the place. That's a very nice looking dog. What type of dog is that, Susan? Oh, she's moving it around. Never mind. Okay, so cards, readings, spreads. Okay, we did significators. What else do we need to know about? Oracle. Okay, that's a good thing. That was so tiny again. She's like, what about Oracle cards? Okay, does everyone know the difference between tarot cards and Oracle cards? How about Bob's iPhone? Sort of, kind of? Okay.
No.
Break it down, break it down.
Okay, we're gonna break it down. Tarot cards or tarot decks, if they're classical tarot decks, they always have 78 cards. There's 22 majors, 56 minors. That's the way it always is. Within the majors and the minors, you have 4 suits representing the 4 elements, earth, water, air, fire. And then you have the majors representing all the big stuff, the psychological stuff, magical pathway, things that need to be resolved. Those are all the major arcana. Each card, even though sometimes the symbolism may vary, there's usually a strong tie-in to the same type of meaning from deck to deck, because the symbols that are supposed to be used all try to convey the same thing. This, I am noticing, is becoming less and less prevalent in today's modern, fluffy bunny, crazy people society that don't know anything about mythology, which drives me nuts. But a real tarot deck is supposed to have certain key elements and symbols that work in certain ways. So I always stick with like the Thoth, the Wang deck, the Jungian deck, Golden Dawn, which is dry as all hell. The Llewellyn Celtic deck is really nice. Morgan Greer, Sacred Rose. These are all the classic decks that have been the same for at least 100 years. Oh, of course, the Rider-Waite deck, which is like the universal deck. Those are all the classics. Some of these decks now are getting way off the beaten path. But classical tarot, same cards, have similar symbolism, have the same type of meaning, and you can go from there. Oracle cards are a totally different animal. An oracle card, let's see if I was going to pick on Tracy and said, Tracy, what's your hobby? She's like, I'm an accountant, which isn't really a hobby. It's a nightmare. So if Tracy was going to make an oracle deck out of her hobby or her business or whatever, she can come up with anywhere from, let's say, 10 cards to, I've seen oracle decks go up to like 100 cards. And all those images from the accounting business, whether it's pens or razors or a calculator, will all have a specific meaning for Tracy, because that's what she does. She has created or could create an oracle deck from the symbols of her hobby or business or whatever is going on that will have specific meaning for her. Now, if you're not
an oracle deck that has 200 cards.
Wow, an oracle deck?
Yeah,
200 cards?
200.
Wow. Don't tell Jessica about this.
How do you
We're sorry.
shuffle that?
How do you shuffle that? How do you shuffle that, Cheryl?
They're actually really small and rather
Okay.
thin, and it's broke down, and it's like tea leaf symbols, and it's
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of them. Yeah, and it's got like 12 for the year, then it's got like marriage, happy, career, success. There's like 10 of those, and then the rest are the cards that and it's really cool. I can't express it, but they shuffle them in half.
Okay.
Wow. See, and I rest my case. A wild number of cards, all these different things. There's no set rhyme or reason. Now back to Tracy's tarot deck for accounting. So that deck would work for her. Would it work for someone who's a musician? Probably not, because they have no connection to that. But if Tracy went to another accountant and said, here, look at this deck, they're going to be like, oh my God, those symbols make perfect sense to me, and I can understand that, because they're in that same world, that same niche. That's why oracle decks you see all over the place. There'll be like spider decks and flower decks and food decks and crystal decks and you name it. But it's always picked up by people who have a similar interest to what the author was doing, or this draw to, whatever it is, like the 200. What deck was that? 200 cards? What's it called? Cheryl?
It's a I got it right over here.
I didn't ask you to go and get it. I just want to know what it was called. Oh my God.
It's tea leaf fortune.
Tea leaf deck. Okay. So again, oracle decks can be all over the place. Does it mean that they aren't functional? No, a lot of people do really good jobs with oracle decks. I am totally lost in an oracle deck because I guess I'm not flexible enough. I like knowing the symbolism and the mythology behind something, that it has some age. Oracle decks to me don't have that, but lots of people use them really, really well. So I can't sit there and say, oh, these are terrible. They're not. No, I'm just telling you, here's the difference between an oracle deck and a tarot deck. Oracle decks, I would highly doubt have any real meditational value for the most part, because there's no old tie-in to something. It depends on the symbolism in the card, yes, because I saw Cheryl's look. But in general, it's like the accounting one would be a little bit, or at the very least, it would be very limited, where the tarot deck symbolism and meditating on the tarot cards, they're so old and so well ingrained that it's probably easier for most people to meditate with those. But people have their blockages and their openings, so you just never know until you get in there and try. Because I've been at this for a while. I'm definitely the last person to say this is the only way to do it because this is how I do it and I get results. It's like, yeah, no. I've seen people who don't know garbage about the cards or the mythology and still pull off amazing readings. I'm like, there you go. So there's no such thing as this is the only way to do it. Magic is an art. Personal growth is an art because no two people grow alike or unfold alike. Tarot cards are tools to help you move along that pathway. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to say something, because I think it was Susan or Amy that said something before. When you sit down with a person and you're reading for them, you have to, or I would suggest that you try to understand that a lot of your clients that are going to be drawn to you are also teachers for you, or they will have messages for you, or they will be bringing up issues that you might need to hear for yourself. So you could be in the middle of the reading and say something really wild, and then you stop in the middle. It's like, wow, that was actually for me too. So again, like attracts like. You draw people to you that may have messages to you, so they are as important of a teacher for you as you are for them. So you have to keep an open mind going back and forth. Because that's what spiritual growth is. It's like everybody's a teacher, everybody's a student. It's just us learning to realize it and working with it, in those moments. Because sometimes it can get pretty wild, and sometimes it can produce fantastic results that just like really knock your socks off. Okay, I thought there was a question. Anyone got anything to say? Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Yeah,
you go
Bob.
ahead first, Therese.
I was just going to say on the Oracle cards, because I'm the accountant, it has words in it.
It's a
It
what?
has words like career and financial. So if you're doing something situational,
Right.
and I pull up certain cards, but then sometimes I get mad because I'm just like, yeah, that's not what I wanted to see. So I
Right.
keep redoing it.
How dare those cards tell me something that I didn't want to hear?
I know. So, but that's why I like Oracle, only for the words.
Okay,
It's-
so and there are lots of Oracle decks that don't have words.
Well, some cards I don't connect with, so I've regifted mine to other people.
Right. Yeah, because
So
the deck has to talk to you. It has its own voice. Like I use the Thoth deck, which is a very slap in the face, calculated, hard hitting deck. A lot of people won't go near the Thoth deck. So it's all the voice that deck has for you is what counts. Okay, Bob, now it's your turn.
Yes, I am Bob Rogers, Rogers. I haven't figured out how to change my name on the meeting thingy.
Oh, okay.
I have a request and a comment, but I talk for a living. So
Okay.
if you have more to present, Alexander, carry on, because I'll talk all day if you let me.
Good.
All right, I'll be careful with your time. I have a request and a comment. I'm new to Florida, so if
Right.
anyone is around Dunedin, I'm probably saying it wrong. Dunedin. I'm at Golden Acres Retirement Community. I'm just staying 90 days, but if anybody has too much time on their hands and wants to sit, have a cup of coffee, or take me out to buy a few little things, because I have no card, I have no vehicle. So yeah, if somebody has time, I'm going to walk to, I am like blocks from Enchanted Spirit shop. I'm sure somebody here has heard of it. And
Oh, sure.
so I'm going to walk out there and meet with them and do a few little things. So that's my request. Everyone, please look up Bob Rogers. It's a simple, I don't have a pseudonym or anything on Facebook. Look me up, connect with me, especially if you're local, you want to have a cup of coffee, you want to give me a ride anyplace. I need a few more things from a few stores.
Nothing worse than being a pagan with no wheels.
Yeah, I packed in a big hurry, not illegally or anything, but I didn't have a big enough truck. So I threw away a few crucial things. I threw away one bag that had my good shaver and a bunch of underwear. So,
Wow.
I had to throw it away, and I thought I had spares of everything, and I don't. You never do.
We know how this
So,
feels.
yeah. So that's my situation. And a trivial comment. Take this in the correct way. I
Okay.
knew I would enjoy this meeting immediately because you sound a little bit Tommy Chong. It's just something about that tone in your voice, Alexander. And I love Tommy Chong, so that's a good thing.
I've
That's a
been
big
told Jerry Garcia, just so you
okay.
know.
No, that's a big plus on your side from me. Thank you for doing this. I talk for a living, and speech is magic. I believe this strongly, and supported by a quote I paraphrase all the time from one of our past masters, Frank Zappa, suddenly inflicting your will on millions of unsuspecting air molecules. And these tools in the internet make it easier for us to talk to each other. If I need something and you don't know, and I don't say it, well, I did. And you get to interpret it and say, well, okay, a ride for a cup of coffee isn't worth it. You get to think about it and reply or not. That's magic too. I love this. Magic is all over the place. And my other comment though about I own the classic Rider Waite tarot deck and I don't get it. It's a whole bunch of archetypes that I do not understand.
Okay.
And so I trust you. I don't know how the weather guy does his job either, and I will trust a reading from you. Well, really half and half. I have two old friends who give me readings like all the time forever because I did them some favors, but they know me pretty well and they've had some life experience and they
Right.
could probably give me a good reading without the cards.
Sure.
And that's fine. And the few times I found when I pay for a reading, it's about 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
If I pay for a reading, I might get baloney, half good reading, half not, or completely useless. So I try not to. I try to go to those people, but they're all in Massachusetts. That's where I'm from. I don't
Okay.
sound very Boston, and that's part of the useful thing.
Yeah.
Part of the useful thing about my voice, I don't have much of an accent. I don't sound totally California or Texas or Boston or so I could be working. People have told me for years I should work in radio, but radio's going away. But that's the other thing I would mention to people. Just for an oracle deck, I do draw once in a while from the animal medicine deck from Sams and Carson.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one. Sure.
I love it. You can do a spread.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly I just draw one when thinking about a certain thing. And they're all the animals. I love it because I don't have to learn the Rider Waite archetypes.
Right.
All of our breakfast cereals, our cars, our sports teams, our cartoons are all animal images. We all know how these animals behave, if not the actual animal in the woods, at least the one in the cartoon. We all have that in our
Right.
head. So if I draw a card and it's the bear, am I being too bear-like? Is it if it's right side up or upside down? That matters to me. I'm too bear-like or not bear-like enough in protecting myself and my kin. Bullish, rabbity, too fearful like a rabbit. Okay, so those are easy. But those were my comments. And yes, everybody after this, please look me up, Bob Rogers on Facebook, and just say hi and come sit, have a cup of coffee if you want.
Come on out to Dunedin.
Yeah. So that's me. I'll be quiet for a while.
Oh, that's good. But then, like you said, the Rider Waite deck, I mean, all the archetypes are the same for all tarot decks. Learning them can be really, really daunting when you try to sit down and memorize the whole thing. And even when I teach a tarot class, we start off with just here's how to use the deck just for meditation. So you start learning stuff without having to force feed yourself and memorize things because that becomes more of a job than fun. I mean, I've been doing this for more than 40 years, and still I'll find new meanings in cards when because the layers go deeper, and the more aware you become, you find the next layer. So it's never really finished. People look at me and say, "Oh, you're an expert at this." I'm like, "No, I feel like I'm just starting. I just get really lucky with guessing a lot." No, I'm like, but tarot in general and psychics, it can be a really valid thing if you use it the right way and if you know what you're going in with. Don't tell everyone your whole history. don't tell everybody what's going, you want to be able to sit down and have the psychic verify something that's going on. Because if I can't verify anything in your past, how am I going to have confidence in what cards are coming up for the future descriptions? And everyone or any of you that I've read for here have always been or had me verify stuff in the past, because that's where I start from. It's like, this has been going on, or the past 3 years have been, X, Y, and Z type situations. If I can get that right, then I'm much more confident.
Well,
And
you're
any
right.
psychic reader should do the same thing, I think. Who, where, what?
You're right a lot of the times, which is why, like I said before, I was like, haven't asked for a reading in a while because I
Right?
already know. And it's like, I'm, not terrified, but maybe I am. I don't know. You know
You're a
what I
chicken.
mean? Because,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but, one of the things that I'm going to point out about your reading and
Tarot card.
is you disassociate, like, from the friendship. Am I explaining that right? Like when I
Yeah.
first met you, I don't know if you remember some of the wording that I said to you.
Probably not.
But I said, something that I want to know, and that was
Oh, okay.
like
Yes,
the
yeah.
basis for our friendship and everything like that. Which I treasure that. And but as far as reading goes, I'm sure I really could use one.
Okay.
That's number one. But I am terrified. I will tell you that, because like things are so spiraled and so crazy that you're just going to point them out so effortlessly. And even though I'm telling you that, because you're talking about not telling them, the reader, you know, what's going on. But
Right.
that's how accurate
Well,
you've
also, it's
always
like,
been.
lots of people will come up to me, or I'll be in a mall or something like that. And people say, "Oh no, I'm not going near that stuff because I'm too terrified." I'm like, "What are you terrified about?" It's like, "Well, I don't want to know the future," and then I have to go and explain. It's like, the cards can't tell you the
Yeah,
future
it's
because
not
nothing's
that.
written in
It
stone.
it, it points out, like getting out of, as you've said to me many times, getting out of your own way is one thing.
Right. It's like, here's the
That's
energy path, and now if you have information, now you can make choices, and that's where the freedom comes in. But very few people can exercise that freedom. And I've had people sit there for very intense readings, getting very into the whole thing with lots of life changes they could make, and we talked about and verified. And before they get up from the table, I was like, okay, so you only have two choices to make now. And they're like, what's that? I said, you can get up from the table and make believe like this never happened, or you can change your mind. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, either way around, my job is done. You have the information. Now, that would be like me telling you the stove is hot. I would advise that you don't touch it. You grab
yeah,
the
yeah,
stove. That's not my fault.
yeah.
And people
But
do stuff like
that's
that
what it's
all the
about. And
time.
but that's the guts. To me, that's the nuts and bolts of what the tarot readings are about. Is just that, you know um, the way, and if a reader doesn't sort of, like, when you have read for me, in my humble opinion, you are not the dude that I know necessarily. Yeah, not the goofy guy that, just by the way, everyone, this is sometimes a goofy guy. Just
No,
so you know. Yes,
never.
yes, with a very bizarre sense of humor. But there you go. But that's what I'm saying, and I think that's appropriate, and that's something, to me, you have to look out for. The few readings that I've gotten by other people, I feel like that's a requirement. I just feel like that, um, that they're not asking you all those questions. So, like, how many kids do you have? That kind of thing. And, they are being silent, all that, and
And,
that's
and, it,
important.
and it's really sad that when people do readings, they don't have any fun, because the whole point is to get people involved or understanding what's going on rather than being serious. I mean, that's why I use the death card joke all the time. Oh, the death card is up. Did you already pay for the reading? It just loosens them up and they have fun with it. But it's like, okay, the death card doesn't mean this. And then even
Right.
sometimes when you have a blatant person leaving in the spread, it's like I'll get a court card, a death card, and then a sun card right on top of it. Like, okay, someone's probably going bye-bye. Do you know anyone that's terminally ill or sick right now?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh my God, this friend. I'm like, do they match the description of the court card that's there? And I'll go through the description. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, don't be surprised if they're leaving soon. But it's not in a bad way. It's just like, and I don't use the word dead because they're not. They're just no longer here. There's a big difference.
Right.
It's like when people say, do you talk to dead people? I'm like, no, they're alive. They're just not here. So it's always a matter of having fun because nothing in life is really serious, unfortunately. And our job is to resolve enough stuff where you can have fun and be happy with whatever it is rather than have the expectations of wanting something or thinking you have to do something or all this other garbage because those are traps within themselves.
They seem very serious, obviously,
Oh, sure.
when you're stuck in the middle of them.
Well, it's like
that's for sure.
I think I follow that guy. I can never pronounce his name. Sagduhu, the Indian guy. And he's like, he goes, there's nothing more serious than a funeral when you go over to the man that's in the casket and say, hey, I have $1 million for you. Come on, get up. And he goes through all these things. But see, they don't care anymore. It's because it's just the way you have to look at things because tarot or divination or the study of magic is literally supposed to be a system for getting you out of your own way and moving closer to the divine spark. And most people keep on thinking that going for readings or learning magic is all about trying to get more money or doing more stuff that'll like bring in more. And it's not. It's about, not being owned by something. Even Buddha said you can have the 1,000-story mansion of gold as long as you don't want it. There's nothing wrong with having it. There's something wrong with being owned by it. So that's all this stuff is fun, and this is like the beginning, the introduction of readings, and now I'm going to be totally self-promoting. That's the word, self-promoting. And I'm going to share. I'm going to share this screen for a second, if I can find the damn button. That one. Share. Okay, so that little screen share, those are the events and classes that I have coming up. Foundations of Tarot Online. So Tanya has Healing Power of Rattles if you're in Port Richey. I have the chakra class in Winter Haven, Florida. And there's the websites and stuff like that. There's always something going on somewhere. And you're supposed to be involved in your own growth because that's what tarot is. It's a way to grow and continue to grow and then finding other avenues to do that. Because just like Plato said, it's like, know thyself and thou wilt know the gods in the universe. This is what we're trying to get back to, is tapping back into that higher self, your own divine spark, so you can get your own freedom. And hopefully, if you're reading for other people, share that and help them get to their own freedom or moving toward it. Because that's what it's all about. We can't literally do it by ourselves. So does anyone have any last minute questions? Wow.
Good.
Who?
You did fabulous.
Thank you. I'm so glad that who said that? Was that Susan? Suzanne? Nope.
No, it's me.
Oh, okay, me. All right.
You're psychic, right?
No, I'm not. I never claimed that. I don't know anything about what I just talked about. Nothing at all. Thank you. Okay, guys. I'm going to wrap up for this one for tonight. So it was a fun hour to spend with you. I think we covered a lot of ground. The website is alexandernemo.com for me. For Sultania, it's sultaniaspirit.com. We do readings by Zoom, by phone, or in person if you hit us at one of the events. But by all means, continue following stuff. You never know what you're going to find. Ask questions. That's the most important thing. All right? Just like Jessica said.
Well, thank you.
You're late. It's 6:30. Bye, guys. Have a great night.
Have a good one. Have a good night.
Bye.